what I'd like to do is address a little bit this morning the Deerbrook Trust's interest in learning studios, and it's built upon the notion that Tom discussed earlier, teamwork and collaborations. And I want to say right now as a disclaimer, I am not an educator, so I feel a little bit intimidated by being up here. I was trained as a scientist. I also have a PhD, and I spent 27 years at the National Science Foundation, but when you go there, you learn more about paper pushing than you do about science. But I am not a scientist. I am not a technologist. I am not an engineer. And the highest order of math that I do is trying to balance my wife's checkbook. But through the years, I've had a really strong appreciation for the power of partnerships and teamwork. And it's carried over into what I call my encore career now with this private foundation. During this time, I've tried to cajole or otherwise encourage collaborations and the work that I helped to facilitate. My field was oceanography, and I had a head start on learning about collaborations. You cannot study ocean science without collaborating. The very simple, fundamental task of going to sea to collect data requires a collaboration from the scientists on the ship and the crew. And when you think about it, these are two professional groups from very different backgrounds, very different training, collaborating together to make things work. And I believe it's generally realized that, it certainly is by the National Science Foundation, that some of the best and most productive research leading to advances in our knowledge in many fields benefits from the collaboration of people from different fields working together and applying innovative approaches. People with different backgrounds and experience often bring together whole new innovative ways of looking at problems, whether it's in oceanography, medical research, or teaching STEM. I'd like to just give an example that I like using from time to time of a very different collaboration. Several years ago, I was attending a national oceanographic conference, and I was sitting around a table, actually it was in the bar, with about 20 other people, and we were listening to a mechanical engineer describe the work that he was doing with the United States Navy funding. He was developing a very sophisticated laser imaging system that would be used underwater. And it was really Buck Rogers technology at the time. And what he was doing, he was measuring the formation, movement, and dissipation of bubbles as an object was in the water, making the turbulence and creating these bubbles. You see, the Navy had a very keen interest on keeping their submarines stealthy. And as things such as conning towers and other protuberances went through the water, created turbulence, created bubbles, and if there are enough bubbles that burst, they compromised the presence of the submarine. So he was looking at different shaped structures and mapping these bubbles. And it was really, as I said, Buck Rogers technology about 10 or 12 years ago. Well, also sitting at the table was a marine biologist. And he asked one question of the technologist. He said, "What are the size of the bubbles that you are measuring and mapping?" And he said, "Well, it's this size." And it turned out to be the exact same size as the plankton that this biologist was studying. And plankton, as you know, is sort of the basis of the food chain, and it's very, very difficult for biologists to map ecological parameters affecting the range and distribution and movements of plankton. So he had a whole new technology through this collaboration, and it resulted in some major advances in our understanding of patterns in the ocean that had really some implications for fisheries research too. So it was kind of a fun story, some unusual collaborations, serendipitous collaborations. Well, back to this morning. I met Tom at a conference out in California It was held by an organization called Civic Ventures. Civic Ventures is a think tank that puts together programs to engage retirees, boomers, and others, and help them receive training, motivation, information on giving back to society. One of their programs is called Experience Corps, which has a very big presence in Baltimore. They have 23 elementary schools in Baltimore County, or Baltimore City, that have Experience Corps programs in them. So Tom was there, as I was, because the Deerbrook Trust trustees had a very keen interest in looking at the changes that our changing demographics in the United States is making, and the opportunities that these retirees present in terms of their potential time, talents, experience in giving back to society by working in schools and working in nonprofits. So I learned more and more about learning studios. They were very similar models, but learning studios doesn't necessarily involve retirees. They also involve active people in government and industry. But the model of bringing outside expertise in through collaborations was something that was really exciting to us. It really emphasized again the opportunities, the importance of collaborations. And to me personally, the fact that it was involving STEM education was an extra bonus. So I know there's a great deal of resources going into STEM education in the country today. We've heard about the government activities, and a lot of the industries are interested in STEM education for fostering their workforce. And you know, I believe it's going to take a whole range of approaches to improving STEM education. And certainly the learning studios is one of those that are going to be very effective, I think. And we're really pleased to be able to have supported the fostering and the expansion of STEM in this area and hopefully in some other states. So with that, I'm very interested in hearing some of the specifics, and I'm sure you all are, and how this program works and what the plans are for the future. Thank you.